Hello, my name is Carolyn Schneck, and this is my ethical reasoning presentation. The T4 program began at the end of 1939 and continued until the end of the war in 1945. This program consisted of the killing of people who were seen as unfit to live or unproductive in the German nation. This started with the killing of people who had psychiatric, neurological, or physical disabilities. The list of those seen as unfit continued to grow throughout the war to include an even wider variety of people. For example, geriatric patients, bombing victims, and foreign forced laborers. This program was kept a secret at the start, so the doctors in charge of the program would send out questionnaires to all public health officials, public and private hospitals, mental institutions, and nursing homes for the chronically ill and aged. These questionnaires gave the appearance to the public of just gathering data, but in all reality it was used to decide who was unfit to live. Those who were chosen from the questionnaires were then crammed into buses and relocated to one of the 6 T4 facilities throughout Germany, and then killed within hours of arriving. This is a picture of one of the buses that they would use to relocate the people that they picked from the questionnaires. They would stuff as many people into these buses as possible and relocate them to one of the 6 T4 facilities. This is a picture of one of the 6 T4 facilities. This is another picture of one of the 6. And this is a third picture. At first, these facilities used lethal injections, but then switched to pure bottle carbon monoxide and gas chambers that were disguised as showers. The switching from lethal injections to gas chambers allowed for them to kill more people at a quicker rate. The bodies were then cremated. After everyone was killed, the workers would write fake death certificates and gather random ashes to send to the family. They never cared whose ashes they sent. This picture shows the doorway of a gas chamber where they would cram as many people in there as possible to kill them as fast as they could. This is a map of Germany that shows where the T4 facilities were. The white boxes represent where the gas chambers were, and the black dots represent where the lethal injection sites were. This is a document from one of the 6 T4 facilities that has a list of patients and the reasons they died. The majority of the fake reasons that were given were either disease or old age. This is an example of one of the letters that was sent to a family member of a patient who died. This letter contains the wrong date and wrong death reason for this person. In this case, this person died of disease, when in all reality, it was carbon monoxide poisoning. This program was eventually called to a halt in 1941 when the public began to find out about it, but it then continued again in secret shortly after. The goal of this program was to get rid of those who were both a genetic and financial burden on Germany. Hitler saw what he was doing as a way to strengthen the German nation and Aryan race. Hitler would use propaganda to try and convince the German people that this program was good and necessary for Germany. In this first picture of propaganda that was used, it's translated to, "Because God can't want the sick and ailing to reproduce." His goal with this propaganda was to try and convince the people that God didn't want these people on the earth, so why should they be? This is another piece of propaganda that was circulating around this time. This one translated means mentally ill Negro, 16 years in an institution, costing 35,000 RM. His goal with this piece of propaganda was to try and improve the financial burden these people were having on the German nation. Supporters of this program. The first case of these so-called mercy killings was in 1938 when parents of a severely disabled infant petitioned Hitler for the right to kill their child. Hitler saw this first case as an opportunity to continue mercy killings and begin to strengthen what race he saw as superior, the Aryan race. During the start of this program, majority of people were supporters. They saw the program as a way to save the nation money by eliminating the possibility of certain genes being passed down and creating unproductive citizens who would require extra help and education, but also as a way to get rid of the people that were currently costing the nation extra money. In Germany, the stigma of having a disabled child was growing quickly. This made parents eager to get rid of their child that was seen as unproductive and a burden to all of Germany. Besides citizens, the supporters included the doctors and physicians having to carry out these killings. Hitler said that he was empowering doctors and physicians to take action, not giving them an order. These physicians and doctors were then seen as higher up in the society by doing these mercy killings. Arguments against the program. Although the program was widely supported during this time, there were also people that opposed this program. One of those people being a bishop from Munster named Clemens August Count von Galen. He, along with other Christians, outwardly opposed the T4 program. Clemens shared a sermon on August 3, 1941, outing the T4 program to the public, which is what caused the program to be called to a halt in 1941 before being shortly continued. Clemens had two main points he used during his sermon. First, he talked about how the Nazis and Hitler don't have the power to decide who is unproductive in this society, and once they have been given that power, no one is safe. Clemens then talked about the Ten Commandments, and how as Christians those were given to us by God and have been imprinted on us since the beginning of time. And this program is clearly violating the commandment, "Thou shalt not kill." And violating this commandment is viewed as a mortal sin in the church. Clemens saw that it was the duty of Christians to oppose the taking of human life, even if it cost them their own. After Clemens gave his sermon, copies of it were made, and even some Allied pilots dropped copies of it throughout Germany, and other priests began to share the sermon at their own churches. After his sermon, Clemens was put under house arrest. Hitler was reluctant to kill him because he didn't want him to be seen as a martyr in the church. My view. I believe this program was extremely unethical in every way possible. The Nazis don't have a right to play God and decide who does and doesn't get to live. I agree with what Clemens said in his sermon, that once the power is given to a group like the Nazis, no one can be sure that they are safe. At any moment, any of us could be seen as unproductive and a burden and taken to be killed, and there's nothing we can do about it. We saw through the program it continued to grow with the amount of people that were seen as unproductive, so what's stopping them from adding more? I have been Catholic my whole life and have been taught to believe that God created all of us in his image and likeness, meaning that no one is created without a purpose. How can anyone be unproductive and a burden when we are all created with a purpose, some bigger than others, but all extremely important in different ways? This is the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening, and I hope everyone has a great day.